need, how necessary these places are, and I can't express
I'm gonna put this first
for the province for stepping up to ensure that
and then you're gonna see
its own can carry
me working with
for
beans.
The rest of this
and then I veer off on this little
I
rant.
hope that answered your question.
Susanna, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. And so to continue to that, I mean, with Thursday approaching it,
because
and the discussions and a lot of events happening and recognition, are you?
My family don't get no help, people.
Again, sort of an
we get accused of just being entertainment.
Is there more in the even shorter term that you need?
We know what happened to Sierra
to continue to be ready for this year and the years going forward.
Right.
I think we are as ready
Natives,
as
for whatever reason, seem to think they're the only ones.
Are separate from our resolution health support.
Go ask for help, and they'll tell you to go away because you're not Native.
We'll monitor those phones leading up to and past September 30th. What we have done to prepare for this is we have about 30 full-time staff and about 36 cultural supports that aren't on.
They got a whole bunch of funding for a whole lot of depressed people.
Each and every single one of those people are assigned to various organizations, events, and
it's coming under that UN Accord stuff.
Supports that have been requested, not just in the province of.
They handed over the government.
But we also have many
to the natives out here.
Virtual supports that have.
And now they're getting all this money.
Ontario.
All these different groups, and
we keep getting these
planning all this stuff
coming in, but unfortunately we just don't have.
This is just one thing that they're working on. They're also working on other things.
Is going to be met, but we have, I think, just moving forward, using parts of these dollars to get clinical therapists on staff so that they can actually start assisting and breaking the waiting game or the waiting period and the wait list for a clinical therapist through the First Nations Health Authority, and just getting people used to sharing their story in a clinical environment so that once they do get assigned a full-time therapist, they are ready and willing and able to move forward on their wellness journey.
Those are all the questions we have. Thanks for joining us.
Well, my family gets mocked and accused of being entertainment. Okay, people, so now it's September 27th, 2021. Okay, here's the navy beans, right? Okay, you can see how many pounds? 25 pounds. It is organic. These things, a lot of this stuff comes in from China. Okay, I mean, what can we do, right? Point is it's, it goes through customs and everything. It's listed as organic, so technically you could sprout these if you wanted to. So I washed 4 jars. You can see. Here, I'll just put it on me for a second. Okay. So basically what's happening here is this all boils down to this manufactured poverty. Okay. You see, what happens is when you've been conditioned to basically not be allowed to own assets, a.k.a. like a house or, have $200,000 sitting in the bank, that kind of stuff, right? Over a period, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I did the nonprofit, people, because back in those days, that was just something that I could do without it being taken away from me, even though all it did was suck up money, right? Because politicians and that, right? Individuals in my neighborhood and whatever, in terms of, corporations, they just, took it for granted. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. Okay, so is food an asset? Well, to some degree it is. But it's not an asset that the government necessarily would come in and say you can't have, right? So, when somebody's in a corner being poverty pimped and bankrupted repeatedly through various venues throughout their lifetime to the point where they remain basically poor, no matter what they do or how they've done it or why they did it. Okay. You go with what works. And for me, I guess, like I said, I kind of went into a radical mode, right? In light of what's happening in the economy. under that two-tiered caste system that has very little value for my family outside of organs and other body parts like teeth. That's the only value that we have in society for those above that caste system who think that they're better than everybody else and have the right to exploit those below the caste system. And unless you're willing to go off and kill yourself, you're faced with having to deal with that situation, right? You're either going to face it or you're going to, poof, you're gone and nothing moves except you, and you don't have to face it anymore. Well, I'm always swimming, people, okay? So anyway, now I have so far, but I'm going to have to order a few more boxes. I'm wondering how much they're going to charge me per box. Because right now we're at $74 or $76 a box for 4 of these jars, where 3 weeks ago they were at $66 a box. So my first box, right, $66. Then I bought 2 more boxes at $66 each. Then I had to buy 2 more boxes, and they were coming in at like $74 or 70 something dollars anyway. Right? So I bought 5 boxes of 4 of these, like 4 per box, right? So that's 24, 8, 12, 16, 20. So I bought 20 1-gallon jars so far to accommodate these beans, because I want to look after them for long-term storage, you know, as best as I can. Technically, beans can store indefinitely as long as they don't get eaten up by bugs or develop mold. The worst that's going to happen for beans is they're going to get harder and harder and harder over a period of time. And one of the tricks to deal with that problem, because no matter how much apparently you cook them, they don't necessarily get soft. But in a situation like that, that's where you can grind them up and make bean powder. We'll talk about that another day. So, now, because I'm buying organic beans, and I have been, and technically you should be able to sprout these beans and then cook them, right? You know, I don't want to kill the bean. So I'm a little concerned about, I'm debating, okay? Because these are technically going into long term, unless, of course, the economy continues to spiral out of control, and those below that caste system are going to be looking into their cupboards, and hopefully they're not going to be bare. So that's what I'm trying to make, not bare cupboards, okay? You know, what was that fairy tale? I can't think. Hubbard cupboard. Oh, okay, anyway, I'll look for it. I'm sure I have a book around here that has that little fairy tale, right? With the empty cupboards. Well, my cupboards are not bare, people. Thing is, these organic beans are sproutable. So I don't know if I put them in a jar and then put oxygen absorbers in there, okay, if that's going to suffocate the bean, because live seeds, beans and those kind of things, they kind of need oxygen, and they'll live a long time, right? I've got seeds that are like years old, people, that still sprout. Maybe they're not as vigilant or virile as when they were first produced, right? But they still sprout. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them do, and some of them are like 5-6 years old. That's why I kind of topped off some of my seeds, right, to just balance the old seeds with some new seeds. But in terms of beans and stuff like that, like, they say it's best to put an oxygen absorber into your long-term containers, whatever you're using, if you're planning on storing beans for a long time. And the reason for that purpose is to prevent bugs from multiplying because they can't breathe. So if there's a little larva in the product, when you jar it up, depending on where it comes from, right? If you put an oxygen absorber in the container, chances are it won't be able to breathe. And then, so when you go for your product, it will be perfectly fine. Whereas if you don't put the oxygen, and in my videos, you've seen, where there's been a jar, right? Where there was a party of whatever that was in there, okay? In terms of whatever went in with the jar or got in before you closed on the lid, and then you came back umpteen months later, and you can clearly see that there was a party of bugs in there that took over everything, and whatever was in there was basically consumed outside of their housing, and whatever was left all went into the compost. Well, it's the same kind of stuff, like the same kind of thing with this kind of stuff. So the oxygen absorber is mainly used to prevent bugs from multiplying. Okay? And just to kind of bring everything to a dormant state. Where the moisture absorbers obviously is to absorb moisture so that you don't have mold growth. But mold kind of needs oxygen too, right? And depending on where you're putting your stuff, okay. So, I'm kind of like, I'm going to do it anyway because I bought the oxygen absorbers for this run that I'm doing this year. And I'm a little concerned about putting oxygen absorbers in with organic beans per se, simply because I don't want to kill the bean in the event that I should open the jar after the fact and then maybe want to sprout some. Will they sprout even if there's an oxygen absorber in there? I don't know. But then on the other hand, I don't know how long it's going to take for us to eat all these beans. I really don't know how the economy is going to go, right? So, you got to always kind of prepare for that long term as an investment. I can't put my money in the bank. I can't buy housing because I've been told that I'm supposed to remain poor because I'm, on welfare, right? So if you're on welfare, you're not allowed to own a house, but you can pay somebody else's mortgage. That you can do. And when you're done paying their mortgage, you're more than welcome to step out the door and become homeless after the economy is corrupted in terms of there is no affordable housing. I already paid for this house with the amount of money that I've paid in rent all these years. But do I get even 1 red cent out of it? Hell no. I get criticized for being poor. It's true. You live like that ever since you've been young, having people take advantage of you, for a lifetime. There's not too many things that you can do outside of maybe doing some radical food storage. Because, you're feeling insecure, right? But I don't expect to eat all these beans in a year because I still got beans downstairs. So I'm like, well, should you use those oxygen absorbers you paid for? Because you paid a lot of money for them. And will it kill the live bean or will it just put it into a dormant state? I don't know. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do 2 jars oxygen absorber, 1 jar not. I don't know. It depends. I have to see. Now, because I've been buying for a while now, right? You know that. I've got about, I don't know how many buckets, but I got a few buckets downstairs with pinto beans in them. Different kind of bean. And honestly, I thought those buckets were better buckets than what I had when I got those quinto things. And anyway, I don't know. So honestly, I'm thinking to, after everything all settles down and calms down, in a few months from now, because I got a little time to do this, I'm thinking to take them out of the buckets and jar them up. because I don't trust those buckets now. Because they had these white strap-on things, and I cut them all off because I was stacking the buckets, and with those white little, right, it was making the buckets not sit proper, so I cut them all off. And then after the fact, I realized that those buckets were, I don't want to say compromised, but they weren't as sturdy and as hardy as I thought that they would be. So at some point, we're going to do a bucket check. Same thing with the wheats down there. I might just go out of my way over the course of the year and repackage some of that food that I bought in buckets, people, okay? Because I bought a lot of buckets of wheat, buckets of oats, assuming that I wouldn't have to open those buckets for a long period of time. Pinto beans. And so I may do that yet, but that won't be for months yet. And how much are those jars going to be, people? Okay, if I start buying these types of jars again in 2 months from now, if I'm already paying $74 or $75 or $76 for just 4 jars, how much are they going to be in 2 months from now? Do you see where that panic comes in? It's almost like I have to start buying those jars ASAP, because by another 2 months goes by, they'll be at $85 a box. You can almost guarantee it. For those with money, it's not a big deal. They don't care, right? Because their money makes them money. That's how they get rich. They live off the interest, right? Where people like me and my family, as a whole, we're always under attack, so that we never ever get ahead, people, ever, okay? Because there's one being picked off here, one being picked off there, another one being murdered over there, another one being murdered over there, okay? And that's not fabrication, that is truth. Which all has an effect around that manufactured poverty. So there's not too many things that you can accumulate in terms of wealth outside of maybe some food. So now that I have it, I want to make sure that it's stored correctly. This is what I'm trying to say. And I'm debating whether I should use the oxygen absorber with the organic beans, because I don't know if the oxygen absorber in the jar is going to suffocate the beans, so that if and when I open the jar, will I be able to sprout them? As if I'm going to be too worried about that when that time comes. So you kind of have to just go with what you think is the best. And obviously, I'm sticking my neck out in terms of spend, right? But, that base in my life is covered. And I am looking forward to making bean sausages with a little bit of meat, a little bit of bean, and a little bit of breadcrumbs, and some of these spices. Oh boy. And if I have to, I've got my egg powder. And if I have to, I've got my whole milk powder. They're going to make some nice patties or sausages after you all put it together. Just using that as an example. So, I'm already starting to think about buying more jars. It's just a question of how am I going to put it into my budget. As if I want to spend $1,000 on jars. See, the thing about jars, though, is mice can't chew through jars. They can chew through buckets. Don't fool yourself, people. Not that I have mice, because I don't. But I know for a fact that mice can chew through buckets. They won't chew through jars. And I want these beans to stay as fresh as they can for as long as they can. Even though I know that at some point, if they get real hard, you can still make bean flour and incorporate that into your meals. Okay? Because the only time a bean will go bad is if it's been molded or been eaten up by a bunch of bugs. Outside of that, beans will store indefinitely. So just remember that, okay? It's a matter of getting them in your diet. Well, I'm not really a bean eater, but I'm looking forward to my little bean pots. So now I'm going to fill up my jars with these navy beans. So hold on. Okay. Not that I'm promoting this product, but as you can see, I brought up a bucket. I bought 2 of these. I can't remember how much I paid for them. I'd have to look it up. Eventually, I'm going to write everything down and, you know, just double cross-check. Okay. So in the meantime, if you look here, do you see what it says? It says shelf life up to 30 years, people, in this bucket. In other words, it's shelf ready. Now, I don't know if I was supposed to cut off those little white things, that you know, those little strap. I don't know if they have that just for transport or what, you know. Technically, right now, I am not going to open this up and put them into jars, right? If you look here, it says Best Buy, right? 2051. I must have bought them in around that time in February, okay? Because I've been doing this for a while now. I'd have to look back and see. I don't remember how much I paid for them. I just know I bought 3 hard white wheat in their buckets, 2 pintos, and oats, large flake oats, okay? And then I went into other oats. And then I bought more oats. Okay. I bought this one here, remember, for $49, 3 pounds, 4 ounces. Normally you can only find 2 pounds, right? So when I found the 3 pounds, 4 ounces for $82, remember I said I bought 3 more. Because this can sit on the shelf for a long time too. Now at some point I am going to open this up. I don't know what the best before date is on this one, but it's like 10, 15, 20 years, same thing, okay? Now, I'm not going to open this up. I did bring it up, though, just for now, okay? I don't think I'm going to open it up simply because it seems to be okay. I'm just a little worried about those stupid little house moths crawling in there and getting in, but it seems to be okay. Not, you know, I don't know. I'm a little nervous with it. But that's last on the list. So this here is a different kind of bean. Now I don't know if I ordered 25 pounds of chia seeds. I was talking on the phone with somebody and they suggested I try and introduce chia seeds more. The thing about chia seeds, though, is they swell up. And I don't know. Some people say they're good for weight loss. Some people say they're good for weight gain. So I guess it really depends on how you eat them. Because as soon as you expose chia seeds to water, they go into little jellies, right? So anyway, I got a big bag of that coming. I think it's about 25 pounds. Organic chia seeds. So again, I'll be jarring those ones up because they're coming in bags. They're not coming like this, okay? Now this is a organic Great Northern bean. This one is 15 pounds. And if you notice, this is one reason why I'm buying. I mean, look at this, people. Can you see? Look at this. Okay. Right. Calories for one serving, 1 ounce. Which 1 ounce would probably be too much for Amari at one time. But anyway, I'm going to take half of this and fill up this jar. And then I'm going to put those jars in the box. I'm not putting no oxygen absorbers into anything just yet. Because once you open them up, right, you have to work fast. So I'm going to fill up my 5 boxes of big jars. I don't know if my son took one down already. I think he did. Anyway, I don't remember what's in it. No, 1 box is underneath there. I'm gonna take out some of those soya beans, and I'm gonna leave myself 1 jar of organic navy beans upstairs, 1 jar of organic kidney beans upstairs, like whatever's left over, like not full jars, right? And then after I get everything in their jars, I'm putting them in the boxes because the boxes insulate them from the light, right? And we'll just kind of bring them to a dormant temperature. I kind of know where I'm going to put them, but I have to move shit around, which is okay because it gets me into bins with old fabric. Because remember, people, I haven't sewed in this house basically since I've been here because of this yard and just whatever's been going on. So over the winter, I'm going to start getting into fabric, just like I've been doing food stuff. After it's all said and done, I won't have to do this next year, people, okay? I'm good. I'm good, all right? So I won't have to do any of this next year. So this is really, really good. So now then next year I can play catch up with other things, right? I want to build up on that little website for Andre, you know, with the walnut ink and that kind of stuff, powder, right? And I want to take some of the old craft stuff that I have around the house and make little packets and, I don't know, do something. Point is I won't have to do any of this after it's all said and done. So hold on a minute. I don't think I'm going to keep this video very long, but I will show you after I do what I do here. Hold on. I just want to say, with all this ripping up of roads, people, building big-ass trucks going back and fucking forth, in the front, in the back, for 2 fucking years straight. You can see what they're doing over there now. Now they're hammering the shit out of the ground, out of the cement. Over there, you remember Andre and I, we showed you the signs where they said don't have those big-ass monster dump trucks and whatever they had parked over there because they were bringing in soil erosion, right? They're changing the ground, people. This is why they rip down all these old houses when they start coming in, building in their fucking monster houses, because they're changing the ground and they're making everything unstable, right? The floors in my house are starting to fucking creak after all these years with all these fucking trucks going back and forth, right? They're busting up the ground over there. They dug up the back of my alley and everything, had big ass trenches back there. They've got trucks going back and forth all the time. They still got the big ass fucking trucks going up and down here all the time because of that crap over there. And they got them still going through the fucking back. And now they're hammering the cement over there. Like, it drives me bloody nuts, man. Like, it's total fucking bullshit. Right? You know, my landlord's all the time getting harassed to sell their house, sell their house, sell their house. Right? Okay? Like, almost every second month, right? Somebody's coming to my house. Are you selling the house? We want to buy your house. You know, and like, this house over here, this little green one that's been sold like 50 times in the last 7 years, like seriously, sits empty year after year after year after year, but they keep selling the fucking house 2-3 times a year. Like, how does that work, people? And that's the one house that we know of that completely sits empty. Even, you know what? It sits so empty that my landlady has noticed that there's something going on in that house with an empty fucking house with a for sale sign out there that says sold on it that hasn't even been taken off the property for 4 months. It's just still saying sold. And they're going to sell it again. Increasing the property prices as they're destroying the foundation of the earth, for crying out loud. Because they're building all the way around, everywhere. Like, you know, No wonder why I feel so freaking insecure, man. Right? You know? Somebody could be living in that fucking house, but no. It's Chinese people. They don't want that. Right? They don't want the maintenance. Right? Sure, I have problems with maintenance in my house. My son says, well, you know, Mom, you don't really, it's not your responsibility to try and fix the porch. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but, like, I haven't even done that yet, people. But at least I got a fucking house to live in with a porch that needs to be fixed. Not that I can fucking fix it, but, you know, it's like wood rot all over the place. Anyway. Just not right. So this is another box that's being packed up. Like I said, I'm not going to have to do this next year. It's done. And because I went out of my way to, you know, either buy quality product, right, okay, right, you know, something that can sit in a container for 30 freaking years, if need be, right? Might be the only thing my family has something to eat in the next 4 years from now. Okay? I might not be here to see it, people, okay? But at least I'll know that when I go poof and I'm fucking gone, my family will have it. They might be homeless, but at least they'll have food. Living in a trench. Waiting for the bulldozer to dig them out of it. So the rich can get richer and brag about how fucking rich they are. My son cuts trees, I'm telling you. My son cuts trees, okay? He goes onto properties that are empty. But we're talking $22 million properties. $22 million properties. With the fucking house inside full of jade. Jade artifacts. You know, green jade? I'm pretty sure it's called jade. The whole house, monster mansion, on a property of $22 million that sits fucking empty, as the one next to it sits empty because the owners live somewhere else and just like to hoard their jade. Peek through their windows if they're on the property. Those are the ones that are fucking benefiting off of illegal organ harvesting, okay? Mark my words. And the government allows it to happen. Just like they allow that fucking little greenhouse over there to sit up there fucking empty for 10 fucking years. Just so it can push up the property prices so that my landlady can get $2 million while I sit here and beat my head up against the fucking cupboard trying to figure out how I'm going to fix a rotten porch. As the dump trucks are going back and forth, front and back, right? Destroying the foundation so that the house is shifting. Get fucking gutters fixed around here properly. I spent $230 for nothing. I'm obviously putting it off before I have to go climb the ladder myself. It's like waiting for that back door. Because it's just an old house and nobody cares about it. It's just a burden, like old people. This house is like a burden like old people. And that's why all the old people are being killed off. They already got it fucking documented how they were using some sort of medication that literally kills people. All over the place. They were using it in the United States. They were using it in the fucking UK. They were using it all over the place. And you know what? Go into my videos, especially on BitChute, where it says 79 deaths, 7 days in the past. In other words, they did the live stream 7 days in the past, predicting that there was going to be 79 deaths when they re-streamed it. How did that happen? Well, we know how it happened, people. They treat houses, old houses, just like they treat their old people. Unless, of course, that old person's got a whole whack of money like Uncle John, and they just got to keep him alive for a little while longer just so they can steal their fucking money after they transfer the paperwork. Anyway, I can't get mad. I won't have to do this next year. That's the beauty of what I'm doing. I'm going to end this video now, seriously, man, because I'm like so frustrated. You don't know. Uncle John would say I did the right thing, people. No matter what. Okay. Do you see? Look how nice. These are those northern beans, right? These are the navy beans. I have enough left over in a bag yet. Right here, you can see, right? Just for what I need up here for sprouting or whatever I want to do. Plus, I'm going to get into my older beans, right? And then we've got this one here, which technically could probably fill up another jar, but we'll see what happens with that. I might just put them in quart-sized jars, right? So what's going to happen now is I will put a label on this, right? Okay? And I'll label the box. I'm going to put them back in the box. I'm not going to put the oxygen absorber in them until I'm ready to do them all at the same time. Because it's not like I can vacuum seal these. And I don't even know how well they're going to vacuum seal with an oxygen absorber because of just the type of lid it is. But we'll give it a shot when that time comes. Okay, so, and of course I got other things here. So I'm going to show you this and then I'm going to end my video, okay? Right now I'm listening to the quote-unquote province of British Columbia, Canada. They're talking about mental health and addiction. They always bring in the natives when they do that, people. As if the natives are the only one that's been traumatized in this fucking stupid, rotten, stinking country called Canada, a.k.a. the New Congo!
The impacts continue to this very day.
Like, seriously, man!
Respectfully, the province...
Like I said, is it not a good thing that I don't drink? Like, seriously, man.
Who've been impacted by these recent events. But one of the things that the province...
They are bringing in their reparation at the taxpayers' expense to, I don't know.
Heard from Indigenous service providers that
anyway, pretty simple step, okay? I just labeled it, you can see. Put it on top so when you open up the box, if you need, you know where to find it. I'm not putting the oxygen absorber in there until all the boxes are downstairs, right? And then I'll open them up, right? Open up, and then put them away. I kind of know where I'm going to put these boxes, but I have to move bins with old fabric in it before that can happen, right?
Existing mental health and wellness and cultural support services.
And I'm probably going to order 2 more boxes of these jars. And honestly, I need to do it soon, like ASAP, before they charge $85 a box versus $76 a box, compared to $66 a box.
24/7 cultural support.
Right. Because after it's all said and done, I won't have to do it again. Okay? Right? Now here's the other box. I'm going to show you what's in here. There was something else here. Just hold on. Where did it go?
It's so important for Indigenous people to have access to the supports that they can trust, supports that understand the impact.
As if they're the only people that suffer around here. That's what pisses me off about it all. Andre wanted popcorn, so I bought organic popcorn. I don't know if it was worth it. We'll see.
Here for those that are struggling. They have a perception refugees are providing these guidance support.
Some of that to relieve stress.
Support communities and survivors supplement what the federal government has in place, which of course the federal government has significant role to play going forward in this response. In conclusion, this is a time of reckoning in British Columbia and across Canada. We must ensure, as a government, as a society,
I bought some at the grocery store.
As individual British Columbians, that we stand with Indigenous people and recognize the truth of our colonial system. This truth has long been known. It was well documented by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We will continue to put communities and survivors at the center of our response, to listen and to respond to what they need. We must ensure communities, survivors, and intergenerational...
Okay, I don't know where it is now, but it's, the one that I think is going to end up closing within a year. Because their shelves are going bare, so I just bought a little extra. Okay, eventually I'm going to put this in a jar, and I'm going to vacuum seal it. Okay, I'm not leaving it in here. Okay, this is just backup stuff, okay? To complement. This I'm going to be keeping. No, this is right.
That is why we must take action and why we are taking action. Thank you.
And I got these for Amari. Alright. So, these will go, some of this stuff will go in jars. Right, depending on what it is. There's other things there too, people, but whatever. Like, whatever, man. Like, seriously. Right. I swear I'm going bonkers. But after it's all said and done, I can relax. That's what I'm working for. Right? So now I have to wash another box. These are, those soybeans, right? Because I've got the chia seeds coming, right? But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Okay. See? Everything gets packed away nice. And then you label your box on the outside, right? After the fact. And you just, I know where I'm going to put them. When that day comes, I will show you. And then as you need, you take an empty jar and you replace it. You take out a full jar and you replace it with an empty jar as you go along. Yeah. It's okay for natives to be all stressed out, right? That's not entertainment for the government, is it? No, it's a political agenda to bring in fucking, God knows what they're bringing in, people, because I got that one video where they went into the house, the parliament buildings, and they called their the chambers, right? And ding, ding, ding. And, there was that native representative flashing his satanic signs. Okay? It's not all what you think it is. So anyway, I just find it interesting that whatever they go through is catered to. But whatever people like my family go through is nothing more than entertainment. And let me tell you something. When Sierra became addicted to that methamphetamine, the people that were running the fucking drugs in the community, cops did nothing about. They let them use their kids, their native kids, to attract other kids in the neighborhood, so that kids like Sierra became addicted to methamphetamine at age 13. And then by the time I figure it out, she's 14, fully fucking addicted by this time. And cops didn't do shit about anything to get her out of those houses, people. I don't know, because they kept quoting, well, under the Criminal Code of Canada, it says a 14-year-old can make their own decision. So therefore, we can't take her out of that shack. But I'm wondering if it had something to do with the fact that they were natives, those houses, right? You know? Don't believe the hype, man. Seriously, man, don't believe the fucking hype. Right? Every time they come on, they're always this, that, and whatever they're talking about means nothing. Right? For people like my family, like I said, it's nothing but entertainment. So I'm just getting this box ready. I'm going to put the label on the outside. I'm taking off these ones, right? And then hopefully my son will carry them down for me. And then when I get them all down there, right, I have to clear off the shelving that I know where I think I'm going to put these. But before I put them there, just open them up, put in the oxygen absorbers, screw it back up, and put them away. And they should be good to go for a long, long, long time. Okay? Oh yeah, loss of their culture. What about my culture? What about my kids? Right? Right? We're just entertainment for them. Is that it? Right? As if my family hasn't been systemically targeted, right? Through that manufactured poverty, even today, after all this time.
With this funding, we launched a new initiative, Métis Counseling Connections, which offered 10 free counseling sessions for Métis participants. Within days, we were oversubscribed and had to start waitlisting our citizens. To date, over 300 of our Métis citizens have been served by this program, but we know more can be done. With this funding, we will prioritize counseling services for Métis residential school survivors and their families.
I remember when Shimei wanted to get independent living because her native girlfriend was getting independent living for being bad. She couldn't figure out how the hell her girlfriend could get independent living for being a bad teenager, I guess you could say, because they were teenagers at the time. And Shimei couldn't get it. And she went to school crying on about, oh, my mom, you know, this and that, and you know, and because she wasn't abused and she wasn't a bad kid and she was pulling in A's and, you know, blah, and she was being provided for. The school, they were saying, oh, yeah, your mom's crazy, you know, just keep sticking at school, and when you get 18 years old, you can just go to work and leave home. But you're never gonna get independent living. No. She got so mad, man. She couldn't figure it out. She couldn't figure out how they got independent living for being so fucked up and just out of control. But yet she was getting honors and da-dee-da-da-da. And she ended up apologizing to me for what she tried to do, right? Because she's, you know, started trash-talking me a little bit. But of course, the school, they played into it, though, people. You know, well, your mom's crazy. Yeah. Just you know, just live until you can get a job, and when you get a job, just move out and go on your own, and to hell with your mom. Versus go home, listen to your mom. That's what they should have told her. Go home, listen to your mom, because we were in conflict, right? And she would, you know, didn't want to always listen to me, right? And, you know, and it's like, point is her friend got independent living for being completely out of control and a real little troublemaker at 15, 16 years old, or whatever it was. Shimei was completely denied any rights to that type of program because she wasn't native, bottom line. And they're still doing it. As they call my situation entertainment. Right? Because it's only the natives that are picked on around here in Canada. Everybody else, you know, is fair game.
You can reach out and
Just
try
listen.
and talk to either an intergenerational survivor or a survivor from residential school and be open to their story and listen and really try to figure out where they're coming from and believe what they're telling you. So many years have gone by for these survivors that they lived with the shame of not having people believe, because that's exactly what they were told, is that their stories were meaningless.
Doesn't that sound familiar, people? Isn't that what they say about Shimei? And Uncle John? And Sierra? And Amari? And Andre? And the rest of my family? Right? Doesn't that all sound like entertainment to you?
No one would ever believe them over a priest or a nun. So,
like, what makes these people so fucking special? As if they're the only ones being targeted in Canada. Okay? It's just a smokescreen. Trust me.
this is very vital.
All right? The only reason Sierra turned out to be a junkie, right, was because what, people? She was illegally evicted from her home on false allegations. Disconnected from her methadone. Disconnected from her house. Disconnected from her support system. With the people that evicted her illegally in the middle of winter damn well knew what was going to happen. But how did she become addicted in the first place to drugs, people? She was 13 years old. Where was the government protecting the little 12 and 11 and 13 and 14-year-olds? They were too busy running around telling parents that 14-year-olds could make their own damn decision and that they could do drugs in fucking houses where those houses were telling the kids to go out and rob people. Because they knew that the cops weren't going to do shit about it because they were the fucking so-called victims. Victims my ass.
And I think if...
My daughter is dead. My daughters. I have injured grandkids. Uncle John had a miserable last 3 years of his life with his brain scooped out, turned into a marshmallow, as he was robbed of his family that he helped to raise. Okay? But that's just entertainment for the government, right?
It's just the smallest step you can possibly do. Wear some form of orange.
Oh yeah, okay.